Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, the Grand Arena focused podcast centered around the thereabouts of the top 100 of Kyber 1 for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I am joined by my regular co-hosts Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, it was a week. I want to say, gosh, I have to look back. It's been such a week that I'd have to look at the history. That's right. I got hosed by Sasha. So yeah, at the end of week one, I had a great match for Sasha, and then just got piped at the start of last week. Had Nerodium in the middle, and then a match versus Rockstar that I was worried about how things were going to go, and then it was a situation where I full cleared without a drop, and he was denied the full clear. So the actual dream. Dagger, how did your week go?
Another 3-0.
Beautiful.
Back just outside the top 50. Coming for TJ's cheeks next.
Good. I look forward to streaming that match when the opportunity should present itself.
It has to be on a Sunday.
If it isn't on a Sunday, then I guess we don't do it. Whatever. I'm not going to twist nobody's arm about it, but still, opportunity would be amazing.
What you can do is stream TJ's so I can watch it and then do my fights later.
Okay, I can see that. All right, TJ, how about your week?
Yeah, it was 3-0 for me too, and Dagger will be getting the no booty, but Dagger will be getting the touch of the cheeks. So
call me Bubba Sparks. Coming for all the cheeks.
You about to call me daddy because you ain't getting shit. You about to pay that child support. I will say that we're coming for Tass's ability to fight Erodiums, though. I feel like Dagger and I are accurately on our way.
Good.
I have one in my bracket right now, so I know it's coming, and then we will be able to comment about how we had a week of 2 and 3 Erodiums, or lost a fight and still got an Erodium, or won a fight and still got an Erodium. I'm just waiting for that day. I just want to be cool like Tass.
I want to relieve you of your burden because I think you've already made it. Wherever you're trying to make it in relation to me and my relationships to Erodiums, you're already there. You're already in a bracket that has 1 or 2 of them. That's what it is. Welcome to the big show. You're already here.
Thanks, man. I'm actually titled bracket 2, so it's true. I think I'm like 30 something. So it's good times, man. It feels good to be here.
Yeah, that's like, well, brackets of 8, right? So bracket, if you're in the 30 with 32, that's bracket 4 by definition.
I don't know. It just says bracket 2 on GG. I don't do math and numbers.
I don't know how they're doing that. Yeah, I don't ever look at that part of the site. All right, well, fair enough. Sasha Aisha, how about you? How did it all go?
Erodiums are so 2024. I had 3 legit matches. I was very excited. I went 2-1. I would flip your description and say we had a disastrous first week matchup, but I had a wonderful matchup with Tass this week. It's all a matter of from a certain point of view, I should say. And then I had a good match with Neo that did not go my way, and I had a fun match with Aesop that did go my way. So yeah, 2-1, and looking at a bracket with only 1 Erodium in it. So and I start with Baby Yoda this week, so no Erodium for the moment, which is cool.
Nice. Yeah, I already found out it's Neo that has the Erodium for the first round of this week in our bracket. All right, Fatal, last but never least, how did it all go? I recall you were saying disaster struck in terms of locking in with not the ideal hot utils loadout, so how did that go?
Frankly, for the most part, the hot utils didn't really play a factor at all. Like, I quit was it raid testing that I quit, or I think it was raid testing that I quit. That I had enough time that I did a bunch of manual swaps. Okay, actually, no. Technically, it did. There was one really specific matchup that I wanted to play, and I got the chance twice this week and lost both times because of it. It was CLS versus Gas. Was one of those old, like, I modded that in 2 years ago, and that was just always there. And yeah, CLS. If you ever care about CLS versus Gas, you just want a bunch of speed, a bunch of tenacity, a bunch of protection, a bunch of defense, and you just. You just basic them to death. You just right. It's like I'm not doing CLS specials. Sometimes I do Chupio specials, but for the most part, I'm doing Chupio basic, and you're just like, hey, I got this bundle of exposes for you. and it lost both times. But it functionally, it didn't have any impact on any matches, like turning them into wins or losses. Like Qui-Gon had like one gray mod that I missed that like didn't get the manual swap, but like it didn't affect my ability to do Queen Amidala versus Rey. So like, yeah, in terms of like hot details incidents, this was like not anything, you know. I was able to get into hot details and like look at the loadout and like swap enough important characters that, yeah, it was pretty much fine for the most part.
Okay.
But yeah, no, dude, this week was fucking like the least serious GAC week I think I've ever played. It ended 1-2, but well, I'll just tell the story. So match 1, it was a classic SLK Stonewall front wall situation where like the win was very easy for me to take, and then I did a bunch of battles to fuck around, and then when I actually went to finish the round, I got like the worst Leviathan RNG that I've ever seen. Like I was playing exec, and I shit you not, I could not hit contract until like my fleet was dying. We were like 4 or 5 turns delayed from the normal tempo. So like it was still clean upable. This is gonna be twice this week where if I just had like 5 more minutes, it actually would have been fine. But something about this season is just taking forever, which I think is actually a compliment to the season. But so I lost an unlosable match, and then match 2, I realized that I posted too much shit and I just didn't pull JML to have a LV clones answer. But my opponent attacked an hour into the round, and then he stopped, and I saw an inbox message, and he said, "This fucking sucks. I'm not gonna, like, your data crowds are too good. I'm gonna save myself the frustration of attacking your stuff when I'm just gonna lose anyway." And I didn't say shit, because I was like, please God, let him not realize that I just like hung myself, and he is now assuming that a unlosable situation is unwinnable. So I played dead and waited until like 30 minutes left to attack, and barely skirted under the radar where he did actually come back and start to attack, but at that point it was too late. So
Jeez.
yeah. Some real scumbag shit.
Yeah. All right. The possum game was successful though, and you know,
somehow that feels like it fits a pirate meta. I don't know. That was pretty good.
Nice. You know, and I'm usually the one saying, you know, trying to get the dub by any means. I'm usually referring by, you know, any manner of strategy. But playing possum is legitimate historically. So who am I to judge?
Yeah, no, it's I lost an unlosable match, and then I won an unwinnable match, and then I lost on time for the last one, I think. Or like the batters would have been close, but if the time didn't run out, I would have been like 35 banners up before bleed. So like probably a winning spot. So I don't know, man. That's technically 2 matches this week. That's like, yeah, the time factor is actually real this season. Like something about this season just takes forever. That like matches are meatier and there's more shit to think about.
Defense is back, baby. It's defense on crunch.
I'm curious. Yeah, is that part of it?
Well, kind of. So actually, my takeaway from this week is I had stopped using the match planner, like my like Excel doc of just like, here's my list of teams, here's their list of teams, boom, boom, boom. This is what I'm doing. And the weird consequence of having so many GLs on defense is you lose immediate sight to a lot of your power on offense, where like Great Mothers is like 33% of a scroll down to your collection, and like Queen Amidala is way the fuck down there as well. That like I'm actually just like struggling to remember my full tool set at my disposal. Like I think if you know what you're doing and you just boom, 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 you can probably still get it done in the same amount of time. I'm just burning more time than usual because I am like spending more time sitting there and thinking that like, yeah, I honestly think, A, I'll probably just take more time this next week, but B, dude, the matchup planner is like easily the biggest win rate boost that you can get in this game. And it crystallizes and clarifies so much about your decision making that it's probably time to dust that thing off again and, you know, try a little bit harder and put in more elbow grease.
Soon you'll be scouting in no time.
Well, let's not go too far.
All right, guys.
Whereabouts are you in GAC right now, Fatal? Like, are you still like hanging out in the top 100?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Dude, I threw so many matches this season. Probably not. I'm probably like, am I still in the Kyber one?
Oh, jeez.
I should be like at 5-1 or 6-0 right now, and I'm 2-4. So it's probably not ideal. Okay, I'm at like 300. That's not nearly as bad as.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
For
All right.
you just like running out of time and having a bunch of shit happen, like being at 300 is not that bad. That's like
What?
a week to get back into the top like one.
Let me put it this way. I have one opponent who cleared me with like 160 banner bleed, 2 opponents who didn't clear me, and then last week I had 2 rounds with 100 points of banner bleed, and then 1 round didn't clear me. So like, it's been an insanely lucrative. Like, feasting overall is just, yeah, I'm my own enemy.
Fair enough. All right, guys. Naturally, we'd be getting into the meta-analysis right here, but a little bit of a fresh approach. Dagger's gone ahead and prepared some key matchups that he wanted to look at the data for from Swigga.gg from Insight. So, I've got this list here first. So first one is about SLK. So what is working versus SLK? Tell us what you see here, Dagger.
Oh, I mean, like no one's surprised. Fives has a slightly better win rate than Mace. GK had a surprisingly, smallest sample size, but surprised it was that high. If I'm being completely honest, if you go check my filter tasks, you'll see that it's the JML-cron or the Hodacron on the attacker side and the Dracron on the other side. I didn't put any Omicrons in. I gave you some modularity to toggle stuff on and off should you choose to. But I don't generally check. I just assume that the people have it. So yeah, the data doesn't really change all that much, except if there's all the Omis. Somehow GK gets better than Mace. That one just doesn't make sense to me. This is also at R8. If you move it to R9, I think Fives gets another bump.
Well, the sample size is also much larger for Mace than it is for GK.
Yeah. But I think, this just tells us what we already knew. Smart play can probably drag this up to around 80-ish%. I think you can gain about 10 to 15 points. Because I know Tass and I watched one of his patrons not use the middle on JMK to cleanse Cat. And then Cat cycled her turn when she could have annihilated Dre. And that cost a couple of turns. Still ended up pulling it out. But like that could have been a fail point had she have basicked on Cat.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there are some ways around some of this. So that was just the only and obviously people are bad at this game. I don't want to talk down to anybody, but we talk about this off the podcast, so I'll just mention it here. This data is not necessarily indicative of what your win percentage could be if you go in. This is just what the masses do. That's why I said this is probably closer to like add 10 to 15 points.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of people that go in and they'll just like do third on Cat immediately. Tash just did an experiment today on how bad you lose if you start with third on Cat.
Yes, there is definitely a better way to do it, and it is middle on himself.
Yeah. So, anyways, not to belabor the point or beat a dead horse. I just wanted to like kind of have some data in the background while we talk about it. Mm-hmm. That was the goal of this. So while we discuss the matchup and our takeaways, we'd have some data to just have in the background.
Yeah, I had a disastrous experience against Sasha in round 1 with JMK Cat 5s, and then in round 3 versus Rockstar 57. So we just, I'm just riding the wind here, people. Anybody have anything unusual or interesting to report about their matchup versus Slacker this week?
I was 5 for 6 on offense, and my opponents were 1 for 6 against my defense, with only win coming when I placed crew. And the data doesn't bear out that Faust is better. But
what's funny is my only hold when it came down to it this week was with Faust.
Yeah. But the data doesn't agree with me. So, I'm probably going to go back to Faust next week just because my gut tells me it's better. But
The thing to keep in mind with Foss is that like he's just such an RNG character that if it appears that he is better, like the results just may not be consistent. It may just be like, okay, maybe if he gives you this specific type of assist call, then you're in a better spot, but he won't always give you that.
It's true, but
That's
you know
fair.
what's painful to watch, Fatal, is multiple times in the same fight, like twice in one fight, crew using halt on JMK. Like, what are
Yeah.
we doing here?
I'm not
Or on
necessarily.
5, who's already just stun locked the entire fight.
Sure, that too, yeah. Sorry.
One thing to raise, this is not a tactic that I've used, but I don't think I've one shot in an SLK with my JMK Cat 5s yet. I keep two shotting, but fortunately I'm getting Dark Ray out. But I've had a couple people mention that they like, regardless of the tank, they leap the first order tank and then focus down D-Ray.
They
And
just go
I
for
have
the
not
ult with the protection ignore damage, probably.
What was that?
They're probably going for like just kill her. Like when JMK ulti ignores Sith protection and she's Sith, so he's just trying to burn her down that way, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, she, despite her unique that gives her what 100% health in GAC or 50 or 100%. She's not super thick, but I haven't tried it. I don't know if you guys have tried that.
I have not. I haven't even talked to anybody who has tried that. So you've talked to some people I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't done that either.
So not recommending it, just saying I heard just anecdotally about it. So
No,
and
I appreciate
I
you
have
sharing.
not had success one shotting. So
One thing I will say is a shout out to Tass's patron striker, but using JMK middle to open up on SLK
for sure
to build your
Yeah,
ult charge,
that I
but not induce a counter attack.
That's right. That I do.
Yeah, it is good
Yeah.
for that. Although I will say, just opening with that middle on crew, you do of course get that counter attack, and you are able to put him down pretty quickly in the fight. Actually,
That's why I do it. Yeah, I focus there for that. It's okay. I know the ult's coming or whatever. There's nothing to slow it down, but I'm trying to get crew to where he's manageable as quick as possible.
yeah, I see
I
it.
find it if I can kill Dre, which I think that with the modding the modding Tass did after I did the math, Tass did the remod, I did the remod after watching like one test, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I like that. Basically, what Tass did is he sped his 5s up to go before Cat does her catalate when you do the swap, so that his turn has cycled. So Dre only gets the one basic for his turn cycling, not Cat goes, she basics, then 5 cycles, she basic. So you're removing one spot of RNG there. So after doing that, I feel a lot more confident. But yeah, I haven't really had any trouble getting Dre down. I've had some things like just go watch the video from from me fighting Striker, where I got my Cat double feared and I still powered through.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I think that we should be looking into moving our Cats back to health mods. Some people still have speed arrows. I definitely think health arrow is the way to go. Health triangle. Because just the sheer bulk that I had, and there's a lot of people who have R9 or Cats and R9.5. It's not like I'm unique in that aspect, as with some other, more specialty characters, because my whole roster's R9 or whatever. These are ones that a lot of people do have at that relic level. So I think that you can mod out a lot of the RNG. Because my only loss was against was admittedly a misplay on my part.
All right,
That's my
fair
take.
enough. All right, nothing else on matchups for Slacker that you guys wanted to discuss. All right, next up is fighting Ahsoka Ezra. All right, now I know you were reviewing this one, and I was talking to you earlier, Dagger, saying that, Sasha's defense in round 1, he had Rey Swallow Ezra down, and then, Ahsoka Watt Zeris. That was strong enough so that, Night Sisters were unlikely to work, highly unlikely to work, because they're mostly not doing it this season against Ahsoka generally. So I have strong doubts about that particular scenario. But also,
there's not a count that I found where they're like above 15%.
Well, hold on. Let me.
Sorry. My apologies.
I'm trying to go, man. The idea would be that the Rey Swallow Ezra just That blew out Seer, Malikos, of course. No, I don't even think that. Maybe that is what I tried at first. But then I tried Leia against it and just got hosed. Things were looking grim. I had to use everything to get through his Ray and Slacker. I dropped on them both up top. So I had no hope of clearing his back wall. And I had similar success against Rockstar in round 3, employing the same strategy. So I appreciate that's anecdotal evidence, but you're here with the data to break down how it actually seems to bend the other way.
Yeah, so just looking at the data, and again, your results may vary. This again is macro data, so we're looking at all of Kyber 1, minimum relic 8. If you have your Ezra with your Ahsoka, and you put Ben with Rey plus a third, your overall hold rate is going to be higher than if you put Ezra with Rey and something else with Ahsoka. Because Ahsoka is so much less than without Ezra than Rey is without. That's not saying that you can't do whatever you want to do, like Cass said, to try to trip your opponent up. A lot of it comes down to what's your opponent going to use, blah, blah, blah. But now with the emergence of Queen versus Rey, Ezra, Ben, and I found that to be pretty consistent. Walking other people through it, just again, I'm saying like my guess would be somewhere between 85 and like 92, 93%, depending on crons. So I really do think that no, this is not even talking about Rey, but like against Ahsoka, I feel like she's worse against Ahsoka than she is against Rey. I also think Leia is better versus Ahsoka than she is against Rey. I think by a slight margin. But you can just toggle between like different filters because I gave you 2 filters for Ahsoka and Rey.
This is what's interesting here about this Ahsoka, Exile Ezra, and then plus whatever third. Queen seems pretty consistent, but can drop against like Zalbar Kron.
Well, this is only filtered by Zalbar Kron because every other Kron was worse.
Fair. Yeah, all right, well. So yeah, we've got Leia in here, but it's only 56% if it's a Huyang, 75% if it's a Padawan Sabine, Seabane, 78%, Queen, 76 on average. Yeah, there's your 22% with Great Mothers.
Yay.
Those battles are... It's a sample size of 9, and a fair few of those battles might be me, and I can tell you at least like 2 of those battles probably should have been wins.
Yeah.
Okay, none of them are me. Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, let's see here.
Remember, this is the Zalbar Kron. This isn't the Heracron, which is supposed to box it out.
Well, from the Great Mother's side, it's not
Yeah.
Zalbar.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So this is interesting to note that, for all I was just looking at, Zalbar Kron seems to do well, but if this is going to win at all, it seems, well,
Go filter by Heracron, you'll see a similar win rate.
Mm.
Right, like that's the thing. Like I think it was like 15% with Hera.
You at, lady?
You can just type in HE at the top.
No. Like scrolling. See? You lied. You're a fibber.
No, it's the second one from the top. You're just blind.
Everyone? Oh my god, I am blind. All right. This looks worse.
Very much easier for Queen, though.
Yeah, Seabane's easier. Yeah, no vanishing hope for Night Sisters there. Queen still looks doable.
Yes, Queen is very much doable with the Heracron.
A little less consistent, from like 100-ish to 89%. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Zalbar Kron almost across the board is better.
Mm-hmm. Anybody have interesting fights versus Ahsoka this week? I pretty much, where I saw Ahsoka Ezra, it was Leia. It ended up working. Nothing too much to say.
I literally fought this round 3 with Queen, and I 56'd. I probably gave away the banner, but it wasn't a long fight or difficult by any means.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I did Leia on stream on Tat when I was fighting Striker, so Tats has that video. You don't need to pull it, but lost R2, almost lost Leia in the opening salvo to the Ahsoka team.
Yeah, that's back to the if you lose your Drogon, you lose the fight. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, I almost lost Leia. I had to smoke. I'd use R2 to smoke screen himself and sacrificial lamb my R2 just to. I mean, I was able to 2-man it. But my point is they got Leia to like the red or the really, really, really low yellow.
But you had
For,
Drogon,
like,
right?
in the first few turns.
You had Drogon though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If Drogon's dead, you're done. So that's
No, I'm simply pointing out that like that fight is like really awkward.
well, I'm telling you, it's really bad. And if you're willing to take the risk of the 25% or whatever, 33 that your Drogon is dead off rip, you've literally just lost your fight, and that's where it's like, we won't be doing that.
Unfortunately, that's what I had budgeted for that, so it was going to work or it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
But yeah, the next one is just Ahsoka with Watt. So
Well, yeah, we'll cover that. I just want to make sure nobody else had something
sorry.
about this, just at least a interesting note about Ahsoka Ezra. So we're good? Yes, next one is about Ahsoka Watt. So yeah, I was saying a minute ago that Sasha set that split on me. I copycatted it for round 3. It worked for me then, and it worked for him then. For Sasha then. So anyway, I mean, yeah. Night Sisters can pound sand. All right, so that isn't happening. Queen appears to be a dunk, 57. Leia's going to get it done for variable
Leia goes
banners.
from 55% to basically 100.
Which one? Sorry.
Leia goes from like 55% to 100.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's not intended to hold up to a
Not
GL
arguing,
like
just
that. Yeah. Balin, 42%. Yeah, I know a lot of people are thinking this is a dunk, but they're underestimating the true damage that's going on to your sides. And anytime something can go bad, they can just get eaten. You do get to refill their health often, but they're also taking the true damage immediately thereafter. Often.
You can also toggle the third here because I gave you this as like an air quotes template to modular to use have a modular third so you can pick and choose who your third is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're seeing it with Xeris. We are seeing it without. That's fine. I like this. Yep. C. Yeah.
Having C having C or Bane both be able to beat this is really nice, considering C Bane is like close to 80% against like her plus Ezra.
Yeah.
Just trying to highlight how cheap you can go once you remove Ezra from this team.
There. Okay.
And if that's something you're okay with, or if that's something you think you can bait your opponent with, like if they're going to use Leia here regardless, then absolutely pull Ezra off it, right? If they're just going to Leia this, then like, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Let them have the weaker version.
Yeah. Let me see if any Brave Souls tried BCAM. Yep, the 3 did. Goose Eggs just wasn't going to happen. Yep,
Yeah,
Bane's a dunk.
Aphra is surprisingly good, but people aren't really saving that.
Yeah, well, 2 battles for 49. I mean, functional, but merely.
Well, I think there's a couple other Aphra fights if you filter by like Aphra.
A cleanup and a 49 and a couple 49. So yeah, this is not the droid you're looking for, most likely.
I just posted for you tasks of my queen fight versus the Heracron. If we want to show it, I know it takes a step back, but I know we also asked for the thing. So for the people, I don't have to worry about it. So if we want to show, we can show what it looked like and how fast it went.
See what we got here.
Yeah, I'm just planning to employ QA wherever I see Ezra next week.
That is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Yep. QA has proven her worth versus Ezra.
It literally is follow the Ezra. That's literally because it's like, well, now we're down to 2. And this is where I took the dagger away. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna push his stuff back. I don't want to play with him. So, but that's where I started just choosing my decision points. I've already won the fight. It's just figuring out how I'm gonna work it down.
You want to see a cool cheap counter? I'll send you what I
Drop
bye.
Yeah. Night.
Just blink and Ahsoka's gone.
Yeah,
And this is a Heracron, you said?
Yes, sir. This is the data from the Heracron.
The Zalbarkron showed a little bit more resilience, but yeah, even the Zalbarkron I think was.
I will take all
80+%.
comers. I will follow my Ezra. So
Yep.
I will follow my nose. Where the Ezra goes, that's where my queen goes. But it's just so you can actually see how fast that went. I heard about this, by the way. I just seen your thing, Sasha. They were talking about this.
I was going to
Yeah.
mention this too
All
because
right,
this is
yeah.
one of the ones that like really stuck out to me was that if JKR is beating non-Ezra Ahsoka, and I've heard a handful of people use this, not
Right.
yeah, this
But
isn't just like
does-
one or two people.
So okay,
I
granted,
didn't
this is
realize
going to
it was
be
gonna work.
impressive to see regardless. But is this going to work if Zaris is the third?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see it.
Cal
You
takes out
just-
Zaris.
Yeah. Did this? Yeah. I heard about this.
This
Is
feels
like
like
you run
a-
some risk that the added damage that's coming from Zaris is enough to eat through your Jedi. But you watch this one. I did not expect this to work. I knew it had a shot, and I don't play it perfectly, particularly late in the match. I was more like, "Holy crap! I think this is happening." But it's the big the I win button that you have is the riposte that gets onto Cal. And so once you have worked Ahsoka's base health down to nothing, you just call an assist. And
Because her lead reduces max health whenever they have bonus protection, and it's not limited to GLs.
This feels
Yeah,
like an
JKR's
oversight from
lead.
PG, but it's not GL limited.
it
Yes.
totally is an oversight.
Yeah, I'm just I've heard tell people doing this specifically against Watt Zaris because it was a cheap answer because they had no damage.
hmm
Right.
Yeah, that one's going to take a while to play out in the back.
Yeah.
But trust me, all's well. It ends well.
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the breakthrough because if I'm doing this live right now, I'm feeling dubious.
Right.
So-
You're like, what? Sorry, go ahead. Bill.
For what it's worth, I believe the reduction is a potency tenacity check. That it's possible you could try to attack against this given enough investment. But the Bastila also jacks potency, so
Yeah, between Bastila and Revan, you end up with 120% extra potency. I think 70 from one, 50 from the other, I believe. Maybe it's
Yeah, and now
it's a
and now it's-
contestable amount, but
It is.
you'd have to
It
look at
is.
all sources.
Yeah, both of the sides. Fun.
And then it's just a race to see if you can kill Ahsoka in time.
Yeah, without her getting rid of your riposte.
And she still doesn't. And she still hasn't popped Savior yet either.
Mhm.
There goes Savior right there.
Yep. Feels dangerous as hell. Yeah, I see.
Look
We
at her
hit
health
the
pool.
we hit the 1 health bar. Yep. How do you actually end up breaking through? You just you just switch back to repose and hit under.
Yeah, you just get the
Yeah.
riposte and then you just you blow her out.
Yeah, I mean, you have the JKR lead ability. You've got, first special from you have first special, and then the direct focus. First special from Bastila and direct focus from JKR. You've got a few options.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
fight.
and,
Thank
and,
you
I've,
for
and
sharing.
I've heard that fight takes 3.5 minutes. Granted, Sasha's probably playing against a better version than a lot of other people.
Well,
But it
that
hasn't really been
happened to be a comp that hides under stealth for quite a while. So getting as you saw, it took a lot of patience and some good luck to survive long enough to be able to take out the sides.
And if Zaris is there, then the sides have less damage.
That's right. Less damage and are just there to be sniped whenever it's ready. So anyway, I thought that was a fun one to share.
No, I
Yeah, and it's
appreciate
just-
that. I mean, I
Yeah.
was looking to be sold against it because I was enjoying it there last week, and Dagger was dubious. And I was like, I mean, I'm open to being convinced, and I'm feeling more convinced. So I appreciate it. All right.
Yeah, it's more that I try to play percentages more than I try to obviously you play the man, but you also try to play percentages.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay,
I
yeah,
mean,
no.
Lord knows I do. All right. Next up on deck. So, yeah, we covered both, main orientations of Ahsoka on defense. Now we're here with Rey Ezra. So, this is the case that I was enjoying last week. We can see that Leia's about 61%. Yeah, I'm one of the losers there, as am I with Seer, Maliko, Starkiller. No, wait. I think I was successful with that elsewhere, but I know what ate it was my
Sure.
queen. My queen ate it
But while
like
you're
a
there-
Big Mac.
I watched 3 people lead with the summon on that queen.
Yeah, I believe that. I do.
So the people who are doing that are losing that fight.
Yes. Okay. I agree with that.
So
I would
I'm
simply
saying
not
that
do that.
number. Sorry, what's up?
I would simply just not do that.
Yeah, don't do
I'm
that.
saying that
The
number
other-
is not indicative of the actual fight. People just don't know how to use queen yet.
Yeah. The other little wrinkle that I think is probably useful is that Padawan Obi-Wan, when he uses his first special, it's single target attack. People forget that gives him plus 100 speed for his next 2 turns. So instead of necessarily, like, it's very tempting to burn his AoE right out of the gate. But if you give him a little bit more time to ramp and you choose to speed up, I find that to make it a smoother match. But so start with single target.
I've been avoiding using his AoE pretty much entirely until like 3 or 4 minutes into the fight, where I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay,
when it's fully
I'm friendly.
baked.
Yeah. What I've gotten to is I use middle when it's off cooldown, but I tend to use basic more. I will mix in an AoE if I can knock 2 people into DI at the same time, just for fight efficiency aspects. But I don't usually use the AoE as I just haven't felt it's as much damage as the basic.
If you're tracking her whirlwinds and making the choice to add on or to do AoE damage based on, like, okay, she's got whirlwind, time to dump, that seems like perfectly fine and fair. It's just if people are just like willy-nilly throwing out POW AoE, it definitely seems like you could just cost yourself more decoys than you can afford.
Yep.
Yeah, getting that second decoy killed is like not lights out, but it's
It's
not good.
Yeah, not good.
See, mine depends on the fight of whatever we're doing, because mine's gonna depend on the buffs that he has, the stacks of where it's at. Just like you're
You know
playing the
what?
raid, think of the similar setup.
Keeps going down until you find the Ray Ezra Zeris teams.
So I just want to call that
got
out too.
absolutely hoed the fuck out by that. You already passed
Yeah, I
it.
hear you, CJ.
So yeah, I agree not to be willy nilly, and also don't forget, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah, wow.
minus the foresight, his second can be a key piece when you need it. And if I'm not mistaken, you can avoid certain things. You don't get to avoid his middle, I believe.
This is how
So
you block
that's-
QA.
Yeah, can't be evaded.
Yep.
Yeah, so just calling it out that you want to try to get around all the foresight and stuff like that, and especially with the bastard that is Ezra, which is the Superman. Your second can be the key killer. So it depends on the fight I'm doing and where everything is aligned up. Because if I've got super buffs and I can try to get max damage to most targets, I'm probably going to AoE, knowing that when the time comes, I need that what can't be evaded by a guy who lives in the evasion world.
TJ, have you seen the Ezra Zeris team yet?
I have yours. I have not. I don't think I would play with that because it's true dynamics are all aligned. You have to get everything right. Also, if you go watch it, and Fatal, I think, did a great job of getting the fight down, but shows you how tricky it can be when Zeris is on the team in general.
Yeah.
As we're just making that more, it's like, why do you want to play with that kind of setup where it's designed to track it? Fatal's stream, I can't remember which one you did, Fatal. You did a phenomenal job of going through the choke points as it was going, and even you were sitting there. You could see the frustration that's trying to get a setup. It's like, all right, now it's correct, and that's like that is a no, thank you.
But I was gonna say one really quick thing. If you want to go back there, Tess, I want to show you something.
Oh, sure.
Do you see that fight at the very bottom with the wrong Qui-Gon? Click on there and look at the ally code.
Oh no, this is gonna be you.
It is.
It's you. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, the shame. Oh,
He's the guy.
The shame.
And he's famous
This is
now.
like Qui-Gon went
Was
on
there a
defense in the last
confused
round.
moment? Was there like a confused moment when like your Padawan Obi-Wan was like, couldn't die, and you're like, I'm invincible? Oh,
It took me a second because like I did the little, the like blink and shaking head gif. I did that. I'm like,
yeah,
this isn't right. And then it's like,
yeah.
I'm
Oh, like
fucking dumb.
Yeah.
As a guy who went through a period of making a habit of taking C, Mara Jade, and Star Killer in,
no.
I can relate.
Well, come
I
on now.
do
This
think
is.
that really quick. I do think Starkiller can beat this version of the team, though.
I think we also have to live in the. Yeah, I could see to something like that because they're just giving your turn meter to loop the team, so it does make sense. But also, it's the world of TW of you set your cat when you meant to set the fulcrum. It's they all look alike, guys.
All right, let
Look
me
at
show
the
you
poncho.
guys real quick my Queen versus Ray fight. I'll put it on quick, but yeah, this was against Sasha in round 1 because man, did it go bad. Like to know what you think because yeah, I opened up with her middle. Go ahead and did the third. Now, TJ aptly pointed out, and so did Dagger. I think that it was best to use Queen's middle on Ben so that I could trigger the stagger and set him back. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But as you'll see, again, now I just want to point that out. I want to go back just a couple seconds. When we used our middle with Padawan Obi-Wan here in just a second, we use that middle, right? Because that between the two skills, this one does the more damage to a single target, and I'm the same mind that you are, Sasha.
I stand by my response.
Look
Yeah,
at
I
look at
nope.
this. Look at this.
Yeah,
Not even DI. Not even
And
DI.
that's where
I would have
I
targeted
keep.
Ray. I would have
So
targeted
my
Ray.
thing is, I wouldn't even use your second. I'm standing by my response, and I've said it every time, and I'll continue to say it.
Mhm.
I would have gone for the big bonk of AOE, trying to put as many people into the situation that I can lock it up, knowing where my turns are, because that second is going to be pivotal when he's lined up correctly.
But
And
TJ, what we can agree on is that Taz did it wrong.
I already said that, but Cass is asking me. We kept going back to the point. I'm not even talking about the stagger. That's a
Yeah,
like.
neither was I.
Well,
Yeah,
oops.
I wasn't
No.
arguing that.
But yours is
I
like,
am
and I
too.
said
I'm
this.
saying in that situation, I would have used middle on Ray to knock her into DI because she's going to whirlwind anyways.
And I would have gone third, but again, that's where I'm like, okay, because I fought one with less defense and had the same scenario where it's like I tried the second and I won't do it that way. When the defense is this high, I think that is 100% correct. That's where I said I like the AoE at the time because if you look at all the buffs that your Padawan has, it's huge, right? So his damage is going to be pretty substantial. It's like I want to put as many people as I can because I know when the time comes, I need that second. You
Dodge
need
was ass right there, by the way. I thought you should know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying everything he's doing is at the evasion. You can't have that anymore. You have to have Padawan's second at like that point because you've ramped that much damage.
Yeah, at a certain point, there's nothing you can do to really stop what's going on, and I think that's one of the things with Ray that's interesting is that once they ramp their damage, you're out. Like this is either a 1 minute and a half fight that you win or a 2 minute fight that you lose.
Yeah, well, it didn't feel that much in control, I will say. It was a very high defense that Sasha set here, and I was happy enough to apply that in round 3. It worked for both of us, yes.
Yeah.
I also want to constitute that Dagger has what I would feel like I have with mine, and I know there's optimizations to it. But I think the speed checks do align as well. And I've seen some others who will say, I tried this and it failed. And I look at what they're doing with their team. And I'm talking about the build with the damage, the build with the how your Qui-Gon is and how your your Queen is doing. I think those do also play a good part because even if Dagger and I will dispute on a move here versus a move there, we both know we can recover the situation because those checks do need to happen. The idea of having that the whirlwind's going to hit and then there's possibility you aligning all those pieces need to have that fast queen. You need to have those pieces in play as well. It is not just take queen win. And I think people are taking that mistake based on macro data.
Yeah, I think if you're going to set Ray with Ezra, this is what you want to set. You want to drop Ben. I think this is where you want to land.
This looks pretty nasty. I think I fought a Ray Swallow Xeris there from Rockstar in round 3, and I did use Bane's set. And you can see Bane's not, only one attempt put against this comp, as Dagger has it set up. And that was Bane Sass, and wasn't happening.
You can go down and remove the relic.
Eight's a fine restriction. It's a fine
restriction.
restriction.
Saying if you put it to 7, you might get more numbers.
But that's less useful. No, this is good. Sure. This is good to know. I like that. All right. Any comments on this otherwise? All right, next one up then. So, looking at Ray Ben composition. So, without Ezra specifically, right? No, even with.
No, they're in there. I did not exclude Ezra.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
I left the modulars. Pick the third.
Why
So that'd
don't
be
we
Zaris
exclude him
Cal.
though? Because that's kind of the
Oh.
thrust of your argument, yeah?
Well, because I didn't know you could do that.
Oh, well, surprise, motherfucker. All right. So here you go. With Exile Ezra excluded, you got Seer Malikos, 73%. Wow, I guess it's some difference here. Oh, yeah, it's the difference between Zaris and Cal. So it's better against Cal than it is against Zaris by about 10%. Queen 73, Leia 64. That is interesting. Yeah, EP Mara Jade Starkiller 45%. Yeah, Jabba's usually tough to do in threes here. Here. So Seer was that's with GK. I don't think he'll be likely to JML. Oh yeah, Bane 66%. What dropped? Bane here. Bane set. See, I was successful with this. Somebody got hoed out. All right. Maybe I got lucky. I'm happy to take that. Okay.
But you'll see that Ray without Ezra still has pretty reasonable hold rates.
Yeah.
And that was the thrust of our discussion earlier, is that Ray without Ben still has reasonable hold rates, and Ahsoka Ray without Ezra has reasonable hold rates, and Ahsoka without Ezra just doesn't really have reasonable rates.
Fair. Okay. Any other comments? Fighting Rays you guys wanted to mention? All right. Next up was
Really quick. I've taken up so much of this. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Anything related to those GLs? Because those are like the crux of the defenses we've been fighting.
for sure. That is what I'm implying when I'm asking.
I've really just been Amidala chilling for the most part on Ray. The thing for me, I guess I would say, is I've heard a lot of people say that it's fine if you happen to pop Barris early, but at least in terms of like trying to cover your ass a bit, I'm trying to at least avoid risking it until Qui-Gon's done multiple dice rolls, just so that you get your health pool up, so that you're just like maybe a bit more weathered to take it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I haven't really seen how it's playing for other people, so like maybe as long as you're not getting your decoy mode, maybe like an early Barris kill is just fine. That's like a bit of a blind spot for me, but I've been playing it safe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next thing here from Dagger is about Mace, the Jedi Master Mace on defense. You know, people would want to try that out. First up is wherever you would apply him with Temple Guard included, having the Kron, right? Right. Yeah,
No, not Temple Guard the character, just the Kron.
Oh, I see. Just the Kron. All right. Well, we'll see a lot of instances where he is there, but yeah, Riva only 60% against. By the way, I mean, I will call him JMM, or if you prefer, Mace Window, because you know, I chucked him out the window. You can choose, but yeah, Depa and Temple Guard 60%, Treya 80s, just about 88% with the same enemy composition. Java's a dunk. Surprising, yes. I found Malgus really effective. So, and you know, in a meta where if your JMK fails against Slacker, your next best option being Bane and Malik with something like the Zalbarkron, it's pretty easy to hold Malgus for offense these days, and it's actually nice to be rewarded for it. So yeah, it's going to be more or less assigned for me. Nice to see that Great Mothers has a purpose there if you happen to keep her for offense. ML Gungans, yeah, 57 on 7 battles. Not entirely surprising. I mean, they're really good on defense this season in terms of you will use your Trey here. Go ahead and do that. Or your dad bod, you know, whatever. Fine. Do that. All right. Yeah, a whole bunch is fighting this, I guess. All right. Let's flip.
Remember, those are also assorted comps too. Like you can again filter it down.
But
by
that's why I'm seeing the same teams repeat, but the win rates are
Oh,
generally
gotcha.
pretty high. Pretty high
Yeah.
here. Like Balin, I guess, isn't going to do it, which, okay. And then the rest, you'd have to go
And then
back to Riva to see it look really poor.
And then, Inquisitors aren't particularly good against Temple Guard because 7th gets locked down.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Next, for comparison here, is Mace with the Alakron. And it's just that, right? So that means it can be with or without Ayla.
Yeah.
63%. So again, looking in the 60s for Inquisitors. Malgus, 80% on 5 battles. So, right. These all the same comp. Yeah, you don't get down here with Temple Guard, where Malgus is a 55. Solo works. Not Enoch. That's interesting.
Not Sidious.
Yeah, Great Mother's Marin. What about a regular Great Mother's? Okay. 2 out of 3 worked. All right.
Not a lot to parse from this data.
Yeah.
It was mostly just looking over what people are using and trying to do what I want to do. I think I had them split this last week, as I think a lot of us did. I think I'll be combining them this week. I think that you can just create a better result by going like Mace, Balaba, and the Guard. Because I think you can do something with Ayla and the Librarian on offense under Beck.
Okay. Fair enough.
Halo's passive only works under Mace, though, right?
Ayla's unique. Yes. Yes, and I think it all doesn't it also require that all allies are Jedi Vanguard as well?
Well, that would work under Beck Vanguard, but she literally won't do anything else. Like you might as well just run Barris or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
All right. Any other comments from you guys? Fighting maces this week? Like I said, Malgus was slick for me. I think I pulled off a Riva myself, but not against the Temple Guard variant. Just Ayla and Depa.
I think so. In our match task, I think that was the one because I had chances to test in the match you and I had and the match where they saw, and I think I threw basically like a dozen things at that May squad testing, and they were all like B- or below quality teams, and the only two that seemed to have like a shot at being the first stage in a multi-shot was Qui-Gon Jinn, which is going to be RNG dependent, but it was able to kill Mace. And you had the long text 6 set there, and I think that adding to the RNG is if you have the damage reduction at the one moment when JK is ready to really go off, and if everybody's above 50%, all the enemies are above 50% TM, you're SOL. But then the other one that I used, and I backed out of all of them, so the history doesn't show it. But the other one that I used that had a little bit of traction was an Enoch Night Trooper DTP. And with that one, because of the survivability of those Imperial remnants, I was able to get through Mace and I think part of the way through Depa, but ran out of time on it. And otherwise, there was like a whole bunch of crap thrown at that wall that didn't get anywhere.
All right. I appreciate you sharing that. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next up from Dagger is talking about Lord Vader. I appreciate you including this because, I'm happy to report this week I was as successful as I was last week against Lord Vader Oppo CX2 with the Apocron using Seer, Malicos, and Starkiller. That seems pretty nice. Now, I just wanted to see what else here. So, comparable win rate to Leia. JML doing it. I'm assuming that's with our Hodocron. Yeah, gotta be that. No BK.
Don't worry, guys. SOK kills it.
Oh
Sorry,
boy,
guys.
SLK got it done. Yeah, Bane isn't getting it done, man. How the tables have turned. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you
put-
can take LV Bane. LV Bane beats LV. So you could just not
Yeah,
have
sure.
that. You know, SLK beats it, LV Bane beats it, so that's good to know.
Yeah. Just burn it all. Burn it all.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Swallow. Let's see. Now, I think it's just Cal that was 72% win rate. So I guess if you, not a lot of data one way or the other, but Xeris is about, nearly 20% less win rate than using OG Cal if you're going against Lord Vader
Because of the
Oppo.
no revive wall and all.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Really, that fight boils down to putting lifeblood on your non-bend side and not going under 50%, and you should be okay.
Mm.
I was one of the dipshits that went below because, I wasn't paying attention, lost my bend and ult, and then proceeded to die pretty quickly because I couldn't stack armor shreds or stick heal immunity. I do think that fight's around 80, again, around 85+%, maybe even 90 plus. If you take Cal and you are judicious and you make sure you, every time you go, because you want to go lifeblood, Cal heal Ray, lifeblood, and that lets you get back-to-back whirlwinds. Well, not back-to-back, but that gives you your two whirlwinds to whirlwind off Apo and then either the summon or CX2. And at that point, it should be relatively trivial.
Sounds good.
I know
All
I've
right.
converted a lot of people over to that Ray versus Lord Vader.
Yeah, I tried it one round myself, and it did feel pretty safe. I think that's what I did versus Sasha in round 1, and it was all right.
Which goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the Ahsoka Ray thing.
Mhm.
My solution is to set good Ahsoka and save bad Ray for offense, because I think that setting Ray, even though it does have a decent hold rate still, I think trading it for Lord Vader is better when I can set like Seer Malicos and like a bunch. Basically, saving Ray allows me to set like 2 or 3 other really good B teams. I really like that aspect of pulling something flexible.
Okay, I can see that. All right, next page up here is regarding Lord Vader Oppo CX2, but now with the set 22 CX2 Cron. Yes, we cannot filter for defense, but you figure defense are going to be the nastiest of them. We can see compared to
Look at
the
that
other
Leia.
page that the Seer Malicos win rate looks better here.
Well, no, look at the Leia win rate though.
Yeah, the Leia win rate looks like a lock. Just a complete lock if you set it. Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that compare with JML? JML is a little bit better here if you're doing it with Hoda and the Hoda Crown with JKL. Okay, yep, of course, Lord Vader Bane in the house. Yes, Ray, still getting it done regardless. I think the banner is like 1 or 2 less at 54, but not bad. I'd still take that any day. And then, yeah, you can, overkill. I can see, yes. See this guy use Bane set. What a hero. What a hero. You have to wonder. Yeah, no defense on the Kron, first of all. So, all right. Yeah, I sample size of 1, wouldn't read too much into that. All right, about Lord Vader, guys. Any interesting fights for you this week?
I fought the Apocron twice and the CX2 Cron once.
Mhm.
CX2 Cron felt I've been using Ray, so CX2 Cron felt a little dicey because normally with Ray versus the Apocron, I try to get a little chip damage on Apo to make sure he dies to the whirlwind.
Mhm.
And the 2 true damage, massive damages you do are going to happen regardless. But you do additional damage per amplifier level, which made me a little nervous on the whirlwind for Iron Apple. I did end up killing him, but each time I whirlwinded him off, maybe it would kill him, maybe it wouldn't. I'm just being like cautious. But he was at like 80% health from Ben when I did whirlwind him. I made sure to get an extra chip on Apo to make sure that he was whirlwinded out because of the high defense. Against Apocron, I don't really have such worries.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else with notes on Lord Vader? Okay. So, thanks again, Dagger, for pulling all this data, because these were all queries in response to our topic list here for meta-analysis. That's pretty much it for what I had prepared. Anybody else have a meta-analysis topic you want to throw in here at the end? All right. Let's move in to best attack and defense of the week. Pull mine up.
And remember, really quick, and remember, if you like this, comment below or let us know, give us feedback on which templates you like better. If you like us going over the data or just like a raw conversation like we've done previously.
Yeah. If you like this data-driven approach or us going through our actual experiences with it and, comparing and contrasting. So, fair. And yeah, thanks again for that effort, Dagger. It was good. All right. Yes, I showed you the disaster. So on attack, this not working for me. I'm open to playing it better and continuing to try it. So we'll see how that goes. But Leia falling flat on its face was plain old disheartening. This has been a lock for a couple seasons now. Leia Drogon R2 with the Heracron. Sad times that did not work. I don't think anything else too special here. Yeah. As much as it cost me, there was just a nightmare getting through stuff like BKM in the back and Seer. Oh, that was a mess. Let's see here. Defensively, what was it? I mean, nothing could beat the madness and the mayhem that happened in round 3 as far as like my favorite defense. So, yeah, he still there. Yeah, wow. He withdrew on the first attempt there, but Seer just got blown out and kept it because he figured as low as Exile Ezra was, he'd be able to make that work. Went back in with Great Mothers. It didn't work. Mace didn't pan out. Balin didn't pan out. Let's see. Ray again with Bam. Dash Bam. I also missed last meta, but it's gone. It's gone. I mean, we ended up having a really, really tough resistant defense in that third round, but I think this is the first time that Saw really did good work for me. We had holds on a bunch of stuff. Saw was just indomitable back there, and that's with Luthen, Kyle. 200% armor penetration, 47% crit damage, about 20% health on a set 21 with bulk on the level 3, the max health damage 6, and Saw 9. So that's it for me. Dagger, how about you? Your favorite attack and defense of the week?
They're both round 2.
Hey, show me the way.
Yeah, favorite attack is one. I wouldn't call it a favorite attack, but it's my most memorable attack that I will not be doing ever the fuck again.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Balin versus Malgus.
Mm.
It won. And it was quick. But I was just fear-locked the entire time, and I had to rely on retribution to get anybody dead. It was miserable. And I watched somebody else do it, where they just spent like 4.5 minutes sitting there, just being fear-locked, not dying. And I just won't be doing that fight again. It just felt miserable. Like, winning isn't the same as like actually like feeling like the fight's in control. Because I could have just timed out the same as winning.
Absolutely.
And then the defense is that same round. And it is, if you scroll down to, where is it? Oh, I scrolled past it. Sorry. It's the Queen Amidala versus the Treya Talon.
You mean Padme Grandmaster and Moff Gideon.
The Gidme versus Talon thing that, doesn't work.
Still working out. So yeah, you're rocking the protection setup there.
No, it just doesn't work with Talon because of the Savior.
But you're still able to take out. Well, yeah, okay. So Talon's under stealth after you kill Savage, and then you're kind of stalled.
You just can't kill Treya.
Yeah, you can't one-shot her off. I take the point. Good one. Good one. All right, TJ, how about you? Your favorite attack in defense of the week?
Actually, real quick.
Please.
I think it's specifically the Talon Datacron because they 100% can win otherwise. If you're looking to block Gideon Amidalian, I forget what people called it. Savage lead. Get me. You swap to Savage lead, and that can shut that shit down.
That's why I switched to Savage lead in round 3 against Striker.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he'd shown he'd been doing that, so good call. All right. So yes, let me. For some reason, I lost my tab for TJ. Hold on.
Yeah, good shout out. Good call out, Fatal.
All right, TJ, where are we going? Favorite attack and defense of the week?
Attack is the same, man. There's nothing new or fancy smancy, unfortunately.
Yeah, nothing caught your eye.
No, everything was working. Follow the back or follow the Ezra for the queen. Move the other fights around. And then just religious with the LV. If they're doing anything like that, Leia's gonna crush it for me. Again, I know there's results may vary, but for my defense, my MVP, SOK is SOK. It's LV. So I know we were talking about the LV with the Apocron. All 3 rounds. I can't use round 2. I don't know what the hell the guy was doing. Trying something, sure. But round 1 and round 3, LV Apo was literally my MVP all week. That's with Apocron. I didn't do anything special, but it held towards Leia and it held a Seer. So it doing all of the things that usually work, I'll take the win.
I get it. All right. Appreciate you. And Sasha, how about you? Your favorite attack and defense of the week?
I would say on defense, what really sort of impressed me with its performance, not because it like withstood like Galactic Legends, but it's that it sort of served the purpose of if it's your 14th or somewhere between your 13th to 15th defense, it can be tough to overcome. And that was a BKM squad with a very high defense Datacron, BKM Paz and Grogu, and I think each one of my matches, I think it probably picked up a total of 10 holds over the week. So it has quite a few predators out there. It's just, it's not top of mind. It's not the first one people were planning for. And as long as enough has been drawn or bled elsewhere, it tended to do well. And then in terms of attack, I don't have anything really exciting. I'll just I'll throw it out there as kind of a fun thing. Just getting to use Tarkin against something other than Tuskens. I used Tarkin against a squad I'd heard a couple of other people mention. That was like a Hondo IG-11 Queel with that. Jawa Datacron leveled up, and that Tarkin squad's good. I know this is far from meta, but it steamrolled for a 57, and that was fun to see.
Nice, very nice. And Fatal, how about you? Your favorite attack and defense of the week?
I don't really have anything too in depth, just because this meta is weird, man. Like I've said, I'm doing very well defensively, and I am, but it's like not the type of good defensive results I like tend to go for. There's enough stuff in the meta that you have to respect that we always talk about board size, and for once the board actually feels like I actually just need more new power teams to populate on defense, because like the defense feels very top heavy right now, and for me to like go for the classic fatigue wins, that I would basically just have to gamble at this point. Like I can't actually go for it or like fill in anything that I know wouldn't be easily beaten without just like, okay, if they post Y team, I'm just dead. So like, normally I would like shout out some like fatigue stuff at this point in time, but I just can't play it. And like I'm getting defensive holds elsewhere. I don't know, like round 2, like I had a Balin hold to Assidious, sure. Like round 3, I think I had a Caloran Beck hold to Gungans is like kind of neat or whatever. But yeah, like there's plenty of holds, but I don't think it's anything too remarkable to shout about.
Okay. Roland, yep, Queen failed on. Yeah, how have you been liking Leia on defense? I know you lost one round because you felt you'd set too much. I wonder if she was part of what you felt was the too much, or you've just generally been satisfied with her being down.
I actually wouldn't say I've lost any round because I said too much. It was just that that was the one that I should have lost, but I won, and that was literally just like, okay, JML needs to be on offense this season. Like, I don't know, I've never really been a Leia holder. I don't like to be a Leia holder. Like, she's very low on the list of stuff I want to like take off of defense. I don't know, like, yeah, kind of in lining with what I'm saying. Most of my strategy in GAC isn't about the top end of my defense, so this is just a very weird season for me to talk about because it's like, I mean, it's cool they're getting holds, but like typically GLs for me are an afterthought. So for GLs to be the defensive focus this season is kind of just leaving me in the like drift of I'm like I don't really have any in-depth thoughts on her here. I was just like, I don't know, maybe Leia with a defense crown is funny, but
Yep.
Maybe it was at least somewhat funny. I mean, it got me a hold, but yeah, no, like the story of the season is just like, in a weird way, I think us finally having some villains again is kind of affecting heavy defense more dramatically than light side or light defense players, just because like, yeah, there's so much due diligence that I have to do that I can't like go for a classic coup de grace that I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been careful treading all season for me, so I appreciate that you're seeing that. Yeah. All right. Appreciate you guys there. We've made it all the way back around to takeaways and final thoughts. We now enter week 3. We're in the defense setting period here for the first round of the week. I've got Arsenal, a great player for the first match, so that should be a good start. And yeah, looking into this, I guess I'm gonna consider switching up Ahsoka and Rey. The way that we discussed here, based on Dagger's data. I'm thinking Apocron is probably still the better way to go. Like it depends on whether or not they're going to use Leia to fight it, right? It looked like CX2 was only more damning for that. I want to say. Let's see that second bit. No, it was easier against
CX2
CX2.
is more damning against Seer Malicos.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Very vulnerable to Leia.
Yeah, see, it's interesting. Like the win rate's higher with Seer Malicos against the one with CX2 in it. I kid you not. Leia's also better. JML is better. So it feels like Oppo's maybe the way to go, because I ran CX2 week 1 and I don't know, it didn't do anything. I did think I got one hold all week with the Apocron. So might be sticking with that. Aside from that, attacks were generally working well. So aside from the Queen versus Rey, if I do that again, just aim my middle better and hope things line up a little less catastrophically. That's about it for me. How about you, Dagger? What do you have for the people? Your takeaways and final thoughts.
Well, first, thank you for allowing me to essentially hijack this week's plotting and scheming and make it the data monologue of Dagger.
I'd hardly say it was a monologue. I think we had some good discussion.
I'm just saying I felt like I talked way more than I normally do, and a lot of that's because of the data that I pulled and previous conversations. So I thank you for allowing this change to see if it's beneficial.
Yeah.
I'm also with Fatal, where going into the season I was extremely down on 3v3 because of the SOK problem. And part of it's that I'm 5-1 versus SOK, and the other part of it's just learning the fight and learning how to like mod yourself into a position to win the fight at a higher rate. I'm sure I'm going to go 0-3 against SOK this week, and I'll just be a bitter old fuck
Seething
next week because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've really enjoyed this 3v3 season, even the SOK aside, simply because I think there are things you can do to affect the game or affect the matchup. Like if you're the one you streamed versus Striker was a perfect example of we both one-shot SOK. And then it really boiled down to what was the worst team we each set.
Mm-hmm.
and what could you use to beat the worst team that the other person set? And frequently all week, or the last 2 weeks, the answer has been my opponent set things I could OG Night Sister, or I could use Iden, right? Like they're just setting these teams that I wasn't going to use this team anyways. So if I see you up to that kind of shit, I'm just going to set a bunch of stronger teams. And to Sasha's point, I didn't miss Bo when I set her, and I'm probably going to look into setting her more frequently next week. Probably in front of Fleet, because I want you to get to her when you have less left. But yeah, I really like how this season has turned out, and like I said, be prepared for me going 0-3 versus SOK, and just being a bitter cunt next week.
Okay, I appreciate
Thank
the
you for the
honesty.
forewarning.
Yes. We'll all know to steer clear. All right, TJ, how about you? Your takeaways, final thoughts. What do you got for the folks at home?
I'm just waiting for the difference between next week and this week. Feels the same. So just saying for Dagger because obviously F Dagger for being what it is. As far as the week 3, I think it's par for the course. I think we're on track just to finish it out. I will also agree with the Dagger of everything has been phenomenal versus SOK. Hence the 0-3 this week. And we all know how that goes. We'll see what the checkbox is, but I think Dagger's right. I think we're gonna all be in a similar boat as we're just trying to round out the season of where it's gonna be at. Everything feels like it's pretty well in place. I will say, watching your battle with Sasha set some fun stuff. That if there's room for it, that the creating questions would be phenomenal. Making things go differently to create new questions, as Dagger would love to say, create the questions and can you answer that question, I think is a good one. So I want to annotate that. We'll see if we can do that, but it feels like the counters are aligned for what they're going to be. And I don't know if you get to play any different games because, as Fatal would say, the villains are the villains, and they're pretty significant villains.
All right. Appreciate that. On to you, Sasha. Your takeaways, your final thoughts. Pearls of wisdom for the folks at home.
Just like a general observation, and it's something that I feel good about. I know it may frustrate some people, but I do feel like the current meta is partly defined by character placement and setting of squads, but it's really primarily defined by datacron strategy and where people are deploying. And I don't just mean like a D-Ray with D-Ray. Obviously, that's going to be the case, and that is what creates a at times overpowered defensive squad. But I mean like things like we talk about where's Zalvar, we have very few turn meter preload tricks. So the Heracron is fascinating. The Hermit Yoda JKL Cron has real impact and moves the needle in a number of different matchups. And I think it's fun. It's an added level for those of us that have spent so much time in this game and enjoy thinking about it. To have this other element, another dimension that is like really prominent at the moment in the current meta, and I think I enjoy that. Like that whole you're just parsing, and I was listening to, and a kind of a different interpretation of data on some level. But like for LV, is it CX2 or Apocron, and what to use where? And I haven't even mentioned the support cron and its role in offense. So I think that's kind of fun. It's just like I said, it's another dimension to the game, and I know people have there are some mixed feelings on datacrons, but this is part of what I love about them. There's a depth that we otherwise couldn't achieve. So I'm enjoying that, kind of savoring that. So that's my perspective.
I mostly agree with the room in the sense that it has been fun. I have been enjoying this so far, so I'm expecting this last week will be good. How about you, Fatal? Your takeaways, your final thoughts. What do you have for the folks at home?
Yeah, it's been a good fun season. It's like, ironically, not exactly like my preferred style of season, but I mean, defensive holds are rolling in, so I'm like not remotely going to complain about that shit. But yeah, no, it almost feels. I mean, I said this exact same thing about 5v5 when 5v5 went super cheese. It feels like we're in kind of a transition period. And I really thought going into this last month that Mace might start to fill in that hole a little bit, but I really don't think Jedi Vanguard have like done anything interesting to the meta. So now it's kind of like a weird falter. We're like, okay, so Dark Ray is adding some good shit, but that's a temporary thing. So like, we're not getting a permanent addition to the meta to like complement the temporary stuff. That I'm kind of like, well, maybe Pirates will do it, because I think, depending on what future Datacron seasons look like, I don't think we've got quite the building blocks to get like a fully healthy 3v3 meta back yet. But yeah, no, I'm rooting for him. Like, hopefully, we shall see.
All right. We will see how it goes. Yeah. Did you give yourself adequate time to lock in for this week? We have the proper mods on this week?
I'm going to be honest, I didn't do any prep for this week. I was just like, well, I had the mods from last week, so let me just like... I never actually got to use the mods from last week, so let me just hit that load button and fucking we'll see what happens.
Okay. So you should be okay. Yeah. All right. I'm glad to hear it. As the only other content creator on our show, Dagger, where can the good people find you this week?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV.
All right. We'll see him there. Thank you to all of my co-hosts for making yourselves available here tonight. And yeah, this was a fun change, going at it strictly off the data and then embellishing with our experience besides. So hopefully the folks in the comments will let us know how they feel about it. But regardless, if you want to catch me live, then you know that the place to do it is twitch.tv/Tassinix. I also simulcast on my YouTube channel, Tassinix Gaming, which, among other things, is a rebroadcasting point for this very show, Plotting and Scheming. It is also host to a variety of other Swugger-related content you may be interested in, including Datacron set guides, mod guide videos on characters and factions you've asked about, the How-To Mod series, parts 1, 2, and now most recently 3. That one handling your specialty modding questions. A few other odds and ends on the channel, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Check it out. Anything you like, do hit like. I appreciate it. And hit subscribe if you want to see more. Aside from that, yeah, if you want to go above and beyond in support of the channel, there are a couple ways to do so. First, I have a Cash App. That is $Tassinix. I have a PayPal. That is tassinix@gmail.com. But if you want to have some enhanced scouting power for yourself, early access to some of my content, and a couple other perks besides, you may be interested in checking out my Patreon, patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest for you. At $5 a month, you enter the Tass House at VIP access level, where you get early access to the Plotting and Scheming show. That is coming out to our general audience Friday mornings at 8 a.m., but patrons get it as early as Tuesday night, within hours of us recording, giving you the early edge on that first round of the week. In addition, you get early access to exclusives like, the Datacron set guides. We just put out a video that was exclusive for a couple months to the patrons about how to get the most out of hot utils for mod re-automation, stuff like that. And of course, a dedicated text and voice chat on Discord, where you will usually find me lurking, so pop on in and say hi. Thank you so much to Andrew, Banja, Deadpool Cow 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Miasmal, Mus Ross, Rays Malvis, Sam Vimes, Sheepdog 47, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens 14, and White Wolf. Moving on up to the $10 a month tier, which is VIP Access Plus, giving you a bundled Patreon access to me and to your choice of either OmegaBot or Hot Utils Patreon. So, OmegaBot is the tool that I highlight at the start of all my Grand Arena streams. It gives you those graphs and, just an easily understood layout to get a sense of your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies. Anybody can use that tool for free to scout their opponent's last week of Grand Arena history, but only patrons can build out a custom report with any number of weeks. You get a downloadable HTML version of the report with links that you can click that go right back into swugga.gg or Insight, whichever you use, just helping you further minimize your scout. Alternatively, you might go for the Hot Utils Patreon, aka Chili, which is your #1 tool for mass mod management and loadout creation. Nothing else lets you switch so easily between your Grand Arena, TB, TW, and Raid mods. You can use it like TJ and Fatal do and comprehensively remod your roster. a la the video that we put out, how to use Hot Util. That very purpose. You can slice through hundreds of mods in seconds. You can be a big help to your guild in TW, a couple other cool perks baked into that tool. Regardless, no wrong way to go at VIP Access Plus. Thank you so much to Dobby, Eshsotnikam, Meow for Me, Mr. Tony, Bloom, Shake23501, Single Malt Jedi, Snack Attack, Striker, and Trouble Fingers. At VIP Access Premium, this is $15 a month for the Double Bot bundle. So, Patreon access for me, Omega Bot, and Hot Utils, all under one sub. The bots themselves are $15 a month a la carte, so that's why so many of my patrons say this is one of the best value bundles in Swugga. Thank you so much to Argots, Arj, Big Ninja, Duckstab, Darth Link, Frick Frack Paddywhack, General Milan, Ibenek, Johnny V. Ottawa, Kev, Mini GK, Pills, Quig, Saldag, Sir Boss, Sophis, The Lost Womprat, Wilco, and Zoltre. And at the top of the list, in Jesters Club Elite, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper, this madman drops into stream from time to time and goes ham, giving out hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies. He's done it many times over the years. Thank you so much, man, for your incredibly generous support. And of course, last but never least, our special thanks. First up, to the Lost Womprat, one of my patrons who was already, I gifted him patron for life for the work he's helped me do on the back end, optimizing my OBS, making it easier for me to do what I love to do with you guys, for you guys. But Womprat's gone above and beyond the call of duty yet again, helping me set up my stream deck, just making life all the easier, all the more fluid, and I really appreciate the difference it's made. Thank you so much, man. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all you do in the background, whether that's bringing me alcohol, coffee, or food as the situation demands, or just keeping our daughter from destroying our home while I'm trying to be halfway decent at a phone game. And of course, to Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal, my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming. Gentlemen, thank you as always for making yourselves available despite your busy work and family schedules. I learn from you guys every week. Hopefully the feeling is occasionally mutual, but it's not about us. It is about our community. A lot of great conversation surrounding what we go over on this show. You guys add such a depth to it that I can't do myself. So 2+ years in, I wouldn't change a thing. Thank you guys so much. All right, we move back to the main scene to wrap up. Yeah, the road is pretty well defined for what this last week looks like, but I still feel like I've got a couple surprises left in me, so we'll see how it goes. I'll be live, Wednesday night. All the patrons will all be there, and of course, when everybody else sees us on Friday, then you'll already have the results of that first round. So we'll see. Until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.